Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, Yevamos Daf Ayin Daled. We are holding at the second line from the top of the Amid. Now, an Oral, may he eat Korban Pesach? Of course not. We have a pasuk. V'chal Oral lo yechal bai. What about eating Truma? Of course not. We have a choice of two sources. According to Rabbi Kiva, Ish, a fellow who is tummy, may not have Truma. The repetition, Ish, is coming to include an Oral. An Oral, a fellow without a bris milah, is equated with a tummy in this regard. What about an Oral having Maser Sheni? That was the question posed to Rav Sheshis yesterday. We attempted to bring some rayos, which did not really pan out. We're back at it again. Tashma, let's bring another raya to our question of whether or not an Oral is allowed to have Maser Sheni. A fellow who went through a bris milah, but there was some flesh pieces that are sort of covering up the milah area, so it's not a proper milah. He's considered an Oral. Hareza eino oichel loy b'truma v'loy b'pesach v'loy b'kachem v'loy b'maser. This fellow is excluded from Pesach, Truma, Korbanos, and Maaser. Oh, what is Maaser? My love, Maaser Dogan. Shall we not assume Maaser is referring to the Maaser you take from grain, i.e., Maaser Sheni? Oh, so an Oral cannot have Maaser Sheni. And of course, why? Why would you think so? So we had the Gemara yesterday because of the connection to Pesach. Taisus suggested perhaps it's Xer Shava. Taisus Shannon brought a Kal V'Chomer. In any case, this price it clearly. This allows an Oral from all these achilots, whether it's Truma, Pesach, Kachem, or even Maser Sheni. Loi Maser Behema. We're not speaking about the standard grain Maser. Maser Behema. Every 10th animal, it's a carbon. A carbon, of course, an Oral is off limits from carbonis. Asks the Gemara, how can you say it's Maser Behema? Hainu Kachem. Then it's just another version of Kachem, which has already been mentioned in this brisa. It says Kachem, and then it says Maser. Apparently, it's two different things. According to you, Miloi Tanan Pesach, Uktani Kachem. Does not the brisa mention Pesach and then Kachem? Apparently, repetition doesn't bother us. We're just expressing different variations. So when it comes to Maser, maybe it's Maser Behema, just another variation of Kachem. Answers the Gemara, no. You can't compare. Bishleim Pesach v'Kachem tzrichi. To mention Pesach and then mention Kachem, that has purpose. That has reason. They're both needed. Each one contains a chiddush on its own. The Tana Pesach. If only Pesach, I would say Mishum da'arelus, but Pesach kesiva. Where does the Torah warn against an Oral eating something kaddish? By Pesach. V'chal Oral lo yichal bai. So perhaps only Pesach. Aval Kachem emaloi. But who's to say that an Oral cannot have a different type of carbon? That's why the brisa mentions Kachem, to allude to other variations of Kachem. V'tana Kachem. Had we only mentioned Kachem, I would say my Kachem. What is the definition of Kachem? Perhaps it's only Pesach, because we have a pasuk there. But other types of Kachem perhaps are not included. That's why the brisa needed to itemize Pesach and Kachem and Teruma. But Maser, if it's not Maser Sheni, rather it's Maser Behema, Ella Maser Behema Lamli, why would the Brisa have to list that as well? It's just another form of Karbanis. Oh, so apparently it's the standard Maser Sheni. An Oral is Aser and Maser Sheni. No. Says the Gemara V'dilva Maser Rishon. Maybe it's the Maser Rishon which is given to the Levi. That's different. That stands higher. That's Aser to an Oral of Rab Meir or following Shittas Rab Meir. The Amar Maser Rishon Aser Lazarm. He maintains that Maser Rishon has a kedusha, cannot be eaten by a non-Levi or non-Kayan. According to him, an Oral may not eat Maser Rishon. But we're not speaking about Maser Sheni, so we have no raya from our brisa as to our question. Tashma, here comes another attempt at a raya. Again, what are we looking for? We want to determine whether an Oral may have Maser Sheni. He taught us a brisa as follows. An aral is asur b'shtei masros. He can't have either type of maser. What are the two types of masres that are up for consideration? My love, echad maser dogan, echad maser behema. Perhaps the two varieties: grain maser, i.e., maser sheni, and maser behema, the animal maser. Hachanami maser rishon. Perhaps it's not the maser dogan like you think it is, not the maser sheni. Rather, it's maser rishon. And once again, Rabbi Meir, according to Rabbi Meir, it has kedusha and it's also to an aral. But according to Chachamim, that maser rishon doesn't have kedusha. Perhaps it's mutter to an aral. And maser sheni as well. Toshma, here comes another raya. A fellow who is an oinen, a close family, a close relative, passes away. On that day, he's considered an oinen, experiencing intense mourning, and therefore he's asher b'maser. He can't have maser sheni, as the pasuk says, Lo yachalti b'oini mimenu. I did not consume maser sheni in a state of animus. But umuta b'truma b'para, he can engage with truma. He can be involved in the paraduma. There's nothing integrally wrong with him. He's not tummy. There's a special pasuk for maser. Perhaps it's connected to the simcha, which is associated with maser sheni. In any case, he can't have maser, but he could have truma and get involved with the paraduma. What about a tvul yom? A fellow who was tummy, was toivel, but it's still daytime, has not yet experienced nightfall. This fellow is still somewhat tummy. He hadn't yet fully completed his tahara process, and therefore he is asur b'truma. Tvul yom may not have truma. Umuta b'para u'b'maser. He can engage with the paraduma, as we learned yesterday. We had a special pasuk for that. V'hiza hatoir al atame. He needs to be just somewhat toher. Tvila is enough for that. U'b'maser. And likewise, he could eat maser sheni. So Tvul yom can have maser sheni, but not truma, which is of course more kaddish than maser sheni. What about a mechusar kippurim? He's past his tevilah. He's past his ha'erev shemesh. It's the following day. He's still pre-havas carbon. He needs to bring a carbon to complete his tahara, but he had not yet brought that carbon. Asur b'para. This fellow, who needs to bring up carbon, and has not yet brought that carbon, he's still considered somewhat tummy, as Rashi explains. You need a maser. You still have to do something to complete your process. The carbon completes the tahara process. And therefore, says Rashi, Yukamisha tumasoi olav dami. It's as though he's still tummy. So in reference to paraduma, he's treated like a tummy, but he can have pretty much anything else. Umutar betruma, b'maser, he can have truma, he can have maser. Actually, the Gemara in Amud Beis will tell us he can't have karbanas. Okay, so we spoke about an oinen, a tvul yom, and a mechusar kippur. We did not mention aral. V'im isa. Now, if it's to be true that an aral, although he can't have karbanos, he can't have pesach, he can't have maser sheni, but he can't have truma, but he can have maser sheni. If that is true, we have that distinction between truma and maser. Why didn't the brisa add it to the list? V'im isa nisni aral. Asur b'truma, umutar b'para b'maser. Why did the brisa bring an aral into the list? Here we have a distinction. He can't have truma, as we spoke about, in the beginning of the parak, but he could have maser sheni. It would seem from this brisa, from the fact that the brisa omitted this distinction, that indeed an aral may not have maser sheni. You're 100% right, says the Gemara. Hi Tana. This Tana, which seems to indicate that a aral is equated with a tamei, you can't have maser sheni either, is guess who? Shitas Rabbi Akiva, the marbi leila aral katami, who indeed considers an aral as a sort of variation of a tamei due to the arla that exists on him. The Sanya Rabbi Akiva Omer ish l'Rabbi Sisa aral. We had this back at the beginning of the parak. How do we know an aral may not have truma? According to Rabbi Akiva, it's learned from ish, which discusses a fellow who's tamei. Ish, the double lashon includes an aral. he's treated like a tummy. So yes, according to Rabbi Akiva, 100%, an Earl is just another variation of a tummy, and therefore he cannot have Ma'aser Sheni. But according to the other Shittas, who disagrees with Rabbi Akiva, they don't treat an Earl like a tummy, and perhaps an Earl can have Ma'aser Sheni. Uman Tana, the polyglot Rabbi Akiva. Who is this Tana who disagrees with Rabbi Akiva? Meaning, we don't consider an Earl like a tummy. We allow even an Earl to be involved, let's say, in paraduma. We don't treat him like a tummy. There's a special restriction regarding eating truma, but it's not because he's like a tummy. You can have he can be involved in paraduma and perhaps can eat Ma'aser Sheni as well. Says the Gemara, let's put a name to the Shita. We found the Shita. Tana, he is the Tana Kama in the following Brisa, where we find the Rabbi Yehuda Bavli. We find the Tana Kama who disagrees with Rabbi Yehuda Bavli in the following Brisa. So the Tana Kama in that Brisa seems to be the Shita that we're looking for. Who will hold that an Earl is not a tummy, as we're going to see in the following Brisa, the Sanya. You see over here, in this Brisa, Tana Kama speaks about a Mechusa Kippur, or a fellow who has not yet brought his carbon to complete his Kapara status, complete his Tahara status. And the Brisa will tell us, we don't treat him like a tummy. He can be involved in the Paraduma, no problem. But you realize that in the most recent Brisa, we did consider a Mechusa Kippurim problematic with respect to being involved in Paraduma. Right? The Brisa says Mechusa Kippurim asa b'para. And here in the upcoming Brisa, Mechusa Kippurim is kasha b'para. Says Rashi, apparently there's some discrepancy between the two Brisas. It's two different shittas. And therefore, let's assume, says Rashi, we can suggest that perhaps they're going to be arguing about the oral status as well. That's how Rashi learns the Gemara. And just because in the previous Brisa, it would seem that an oral may not have Ma'aser Sheni, that's Shittas Rabbi Akiva, an oral is like a tummy, but in the following Brisa, perhaps the Tana Kama will hold that an oral is not like a tummy, an oral may have Ma'aser Sheni. Okay, let's see the Brisa, the Sanya. Streifas oinen u'mechusa kippurim kshera. Here we go. An oinen or mechusa kippurim who's involved in burning the paraduma, that's fine. This is in contrast to the most recent Brisa, where we saw mechusa kippurim cannot be involved in paraduma. So we see it's a machlekes. Rabbi Yehuda Bavli oimer oinen kshera. If the oinen does the streifas paraduma, it's fine. But mechusa kippurim psula, as opposed to mechusa kippurim, who is treated like somewhat of a incomplete, as though he has undergone an incomplete, a non-finished, unfinished tahara process. It's still tumasai. All of as Rashi says, he still needs a masa to be done. The carbon has to be brought, and therefore is considered somewhat puzzle and can't be involved in the paraduma. I mean, so the bottom line is, we certainly have one sheet who considers an ara like a tamei with respect to everything. Carbon Pesach, Truma, Paraduma, Maser Sheni, and that's Shittas Rabbi Akiva. Says the Gemara, V'afra Bitzchak Savar, Arel Aser B'Maser, we find an Amoyer, Rav Yitzchak as well, concurs with this Shita, that an Arel may not have Maser Sheni. Perhaps for a different reason. Not Tumah related, but an Arel, just like he can't have Truma, he can't have Pesach, he can't have Maser. The Amar Bitzchak, Menayin L'Arel She'aser B'Maser. How do we know that an Arel may not eat Maser Sheni? Through a Gzera Shava. Nemar Mimenu B'Maser. We find the Lashon Mimenu, stated by Maser Sheni. Lo Yechalti Ba'oni Mimenu. Lo Bi'artu Mimenu B'Tami. Lo Nasati Mimenu L'Mes. Actually 3 times. V'nemar Mimenu B'Pesach. And likewise we find the Lashon Mimenu by Pesach. Also 3 times. It says, Al Toichlu Mimenu No. Lo Yisir Mimenu Ad Boker. The Gemara soon will address all 3 of them. In any case, we find Mimenu in both contexts, and we say like this. We'll compare. Ma Mimenu ha'amar b'Pesach. Just as by Pesach, where we have the Lashon Mimenu mentioned. What is the halacha? Arel asaboy, and Arel may not partake in Karban Pesach, as we know from the Psukim. Af Mimenu amar b'Maser. Likewise by Maser Sheni, where the word Mimenu is mentioned, Arel asaboy, and Arel may not have Maser Sheni. Mufni. You must say that this Gzeira Shava is fully open and available, which means that the words employed in this Gzeira Shava are needed for anything else and fully available for this Gzeira Shava. Why? Because otherwise, you can challenge the Gzeira Shava. The fact is that when you can challenge it, the Gzeira Shava gets refuted unless those words serve no other purpose than for Gzeira Shava use. Then it's as though the pasuk is actually saying it, as the Rishonim explain. So you have to establish that this Gzeira Shava is indeed using words which are fully available, fully vacant, whose sole purpose is to supply the Gzeira Shava. Why? Because otherwise you can draw a line, you could draw a distinction between Pesach and Maser Sheni. How could you compare? Mala Pesach, Shken Chayav and Olav Mishum Pigel, Venoiser V'Tamei. A carbon Pesach is a carbon. There's Pigel, there's Noisha, there's Tamei. If one eats it when he's Tamei, he gets a severe punishment. You don't find that by Maser Sheni. So is it Gzeira Shava Mufna? Correct. La'ai, 100%. Afnuye Mufne, it is Mufne. My Mufne, how is it Mufna? Amar Rava, Amar Bitzchak, because Talasa Mimenu, Ksivi B'Pesach. If you take a look at the carbon Pesach, take a look at the Psukim, we find the term Mimenu mentioned no less than 3 times. What for? Chadu Gufei. One mentioning for its own sake. Just for the basic meaning of the Pasuk. Atoichel Mimenu, no. Be careful to avoid eating the carbon Pesach when it's not fully roasted. Tosfos explains, because without the word mimenu, I would perhaps apply it to the matzah, to the maror. In any case, that pasuk is needed for its own sake. It's not available for any drush. V'chad Gzeira Shava, the second mentioning of mimenu, is meant to serve as a basis for this Gzeira Shava. There's no other purpose for it, just for Gzeira Shava. V'chad, and the third mimenu, it says, V'hanoisar mimenu ad boiker b'eish tisroifu, whatever is left over from the carbon Pesach until morning, make sure, look after it, burn it. What's that for? V'chad lemanda amar ba kosav litain l'cha asay achar leis asay. According to the Shita, discussed elsewhere, that the pasuk here is trying to sort of supply you with a solution to the problem, allow you to remedy, to rectify what you did by leaving it behind beyond its expiration date. Go ahead and burn it. That's the purpose of the pasuk. But why does the pasuk have to say mimenu? We already know it's referring back to the carbon Pesach. Whatever was left over, burn. Why mimenu? From it. Seems to be extra. Well, the Gemara, the pasuk sometimes uses matching parallel language. I did the chsiv noiser. Once the pasuk says, don't leave it over. Also, siru mimenu ad boiker. That's obviously needed for its sake. Chsiv nami mimenu. Then the pasuk just says the word mimenu as well. Actually, we have 3 mimenus, right? The first one is atoich mimenu na. That's for its own sake. That's the gufei. The second mimenu is for the Gzeira Shava. I made a mistake. The second one is for the Gzeira Shava. The question is regarding the third one. So the Gemara says, well, vanoiser mimenu. Once it says vanoiser, it already says hanoiser mimenu, because we already used mimenu. Mimenu. That was actually extra, needed for the Gzeira Shava. But once we use it over there, we just use the same lashon again, vanoiser mimenu, which sort of matches that lashon as well. Says the Gemara, that's one approach. In the third mimenu, to teach you the, it's called lav anita class, say that the lav of leaving it beyond the expiration date is sort of linked to an assay. You can undo that by burning it. That's one option. However, according to the other shita, the purpose of this pasuk, is coming to tell you that don't burn it on Yantav itself. The leftover carbon Pesach has to wait until the next morning. You have to wait till the second morning, until the 16th of Nisan. That's why it says ad boiker. So why does it say mimenu? I did chsivat boiker, ksiv nami mimenu. Once it just says Vanoisim and ad boiker, so it's trying to tell you the halacha of ad boiker. So it throws in the word mimenu. Again, perhaps it's to match the lashon of the first part of the pasuk. In any case, there are three mimenus, and one of them is certainly available, totally available, and directed at this Gzera Shava, and therefore it's called Gzera Shava Mufne. That's by Korban Pesach. And now we're linking it to the Mimenu by Maser Sheni. There as well. Says the Gemara, Tlasa Mimenu Ksivi B'Maser. We have three mentionings of Mimenu. What for? Chad Lugufei. One for its own sake. Le'echalti B'Aini Mimenu. Okay, you need Mimenu to provide a proper description of what you're speaking about. Le'echalti B'Aini Mimenu. That's number one. V'chad, the second Mimenu, is coming to teach you the halacha that we mentioned yesterday. The Maser Sheni, which becomes Tamei, cannot be used as fuel. Right? It says, Lo biarti mimenu b'tamei, even when there was tuma involved, I did not burn it, did not use it as fuel. Mimenu. This is specific to Maser Sheni, but something else like Teruma, there's no restriction. It's Tamei, you can burn it. It's Tamei, you can use it as fuel. It's Tamei, you can put it into your lamp. So that's the purpose of the second Mimenu, to exclude Truma from this halach. V'chad, the second mentioning of Mimenu by Meiser, is coming lid Rabbi Vo Rabbi Yehuda, as we mentioned yesterday. And V'chad, the third Mimenu, what's that for? Lid Reish Lakish. The Amr Reish Lakish. Amr Psimoi. Minayin l'Maser Sheni Shenitma. Shemutor l'Soichai. Suppose your Maser Sheni oil becomes tummy. I'd like to smear it on myself. Is that okay? Now, why would I think not? So Rashi learns because typically we equate smearing with drinking. Sicha kishtiya. Smearing something tummy perhaps can be viewed as though you're drinking something tummy. You're drinking Maser Sheni, but tummy, that's not allowed. Tosfos has a different approach. He says the Havamina would be that perhaps let's consider it as though you are destroying, you're being mevayir the Maser Sheni, which may not be done when it's tummy, right? Like bi'artu mimenu b'tummy. That would be the Hava Amina. That's why we need a pasuk that allows it. Smearing is not considered destroying it, and even if it's tummy, I could smear it. It's not really considered like drinking. How do I know this? Shenemar v'lenesati mimenu l'meis. So the fellow acknowledges to Hashem, look, I never used the Maser Sheni for a departed fellow, for a mace. L'meis v'lenesati. I didn't apply to the mace. Holechai. But to a living person who wished to use the Maser Sheni in similar fashion as a departed fellow would have used it. There's only one way a mace could have used it. It was through sicha, through anointment, right? So the mace didn't. But the chai, a living person, did use it in this manner. That's okay. Halachai dumya the mace nasati. I applied it. I gave it. I supplied the chai with oil to smear on himself. As the Gemara explains, what type of consumption, what type of manner of use is applicable to both chayim and mesim? There's only one. Smearing. So apparently, smearing in this manner is perfectly fine on a living person. I didn't apply it to the mace, but to the chay I did. That's okay. Maskav l'mazutra. How do we know that we're speaking about sicha? When he says, look, I didn't give it to the mace. Maybe he meant, I did not use the Maser Sheni material as bartering material to purchase supplies for the mace. I didn't use it to purchase a coffin or shrouds. For the mace. But now we're going to conclude from this that for a chai, you're allowed to. You could take Maser Sheni, exchange it for a car. Maybe that's the point of the pasuk. Amar Huna Breder Yeshua. The pasuk says, "V'lenasati mi'imenu." Mimenu means migufay. Direct use, the actual oil I didn't apply to the mace. We're not speaking about exchanging the oil for orim v'tachrichim. Direct use. The substance itself was not applied on the mace, but was applied to the chay in the same type of configuration, meaning you can use Maser Sheni, which is Tomei, for sicha of a adam chay. Rav Ashi Omar, he has another terrace to this kasha. How do we know he's speaking about sicha as opposed to purchasing items? L'nasati, dumya de'lo yechalti. The pasuk says, look, I didn't eat it, ba'ini, when I was sad, when I was in anidus. V'lo nasati mimenu l'meis. We compare the two things. Achila to nesina. L'nasati dumya de'lo yechalti. Both restrictions are comparable. Malahal and Megufay, just as lo yachalti pertains to the actual Maser Sheni, which was not eaten in this state of aninus. Av kan Megufay. Likewise, when you say lo nasati mimenu l'meis, I didn't apply this actual thing to the mace, we're speaking Megufay, direct use of the actual substance. So in conclusion, we have 3 mimenus by Pesach, one of them available for the Gzera Shava, to connect it to Maser Sheni, to apply the din of Arelos, Isser of Arelos, to Maser Sheni as well. We have 3 mentions of mimenu by Maser Sheni as well. Problem is, we use them all up. Vakati mufna mitzad echadu. So sure, it's mufna, but only on one side. It's a one-way Gzera Shava. That's problematic. This works according to the Shita that says Lameidin vein Meshivan. When it's a half mufna Gzera Shava, you can connect without challenge. You can't confront the Gzera Shava. It's an absolute Gzera Shava. Mufna on one side is enough. According to the other approach, that when it's only mufna mitzad echad, you can connect, but if you have a way to challenge, you can do so. Well, in this case, Michael and Meimar, there's going to be a pretty strong challenge on this Gzera Shava. You're comparing Maser Sheni to Korban Pesach, which has Pigul and Noiser and Tameh, as we asked before. So now the Gemara is going to try to work it out that we're going to have mufna on both sides. We're going to have an extra mimenu on the Maser Sheni side as well. One of the mimenus was applied to Ravo and Yechan's halacha. That only the Maser, which is Tameh, cannot be used as fuel, but the Truma, yes. Says the Gemara, Hach, the Rabbi Avo, this halacha of Rabbi Avo, that Truma can be used as fuel when Tameh, we have another source for that, which leaves this mimenu unused and available for the Gzera Shava and make it into a full Gzera Shava mufna, which allows you to bring the halacha of Oral over from Pesach to Maser Sheni without any challenges. This halacha with Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Vo Nafka, the Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabba Baravo, Maydach Siv. What does the pasuk mean? Hashem tells Aaron HaKohen, V'ani hinei nasati l'cha es mishmeres trumoisoi. I committed you to watch over, to safeguard my true mois, Lashon Rav, 2 types of true mois. B'yishtei true mois hakaser medaber. This is an allusion to 2 types of true mois. Achas truma tahira, v'achas truma tameya. There are 2 types of true mois, one tahira, one tameya. So the truma tahira, you can certainly eat, no problem. But truma tameya as well is given lecha, for your use, your consumption, for your enjoyment. It's yours. In what manner will I enjoy truma tmeya? I can't eat it. To be used as fuel under your pot. Clearly, truma tmeya can be consumed in this manner. So bottom line is, we were looking for the source, or the possible source, to whether or not an Oral may eat Maser Sheni. He can't have Pesach. There's a pasuk there. You can't have teruma. We had Gzera Shava, Tesha V'Sach. We had Rabbi Kiva said Ish Rabbis Ha'oral. What about Maser Sheni? Conclusion? According to Rabbi Kiva, the answer is no, because an Oral is like a tummy. He's treated like a tummy. We had Rav Yitzchak as well, an Amoira. Then Oral cannot have Maser Sheni, based on a different reason. Mimenu, Gzera Shava Mufna, which allows us to extend the Isra of Oral from Pesach into Maser Sheni. Let's go back to the Mishnah, where we learned that a Tameh fellow cannot have Truma. How do we know this? Manan Emili, Amar Rav Yechanan, Mishum Rabbi Shmuel, Amakra. The pasuk says, Ish Mizera Arai. Anybody from Aaron HaKohen's descendants who is Tamei, whether Hu Tzarua, Oizav, Tzara, Sazav, or Pasuk continues, he's Nageh B'chol Tmei Nefesh, any type of Tumah, Ba'kachim Lo Yoichal, don't have Kachim, don't have Truma. How do we know it's speaking about Truma? It says Ba'kachim, maybe carbon. Oh, Ezu Davar Sheshaveh B'zar Shel Aaron. Give me an item which is accessible to all of Aaron HaKohen's descendants, men and women alike. We have only one. Havi Omer Zu Truma. Truma is meant for all, as opposed to Kachim, right, which is typically given to Kohanim. That's only for the Zachar, not for the Nekevas. Clearly, the pasuk here, which begins by presenting this as a all-encompassing concern, all of Zera Aaron are involved in this concern, is alluding to Truma, accessible to all. And the pasuk clearly says, a fellow who's tummy is off limits. Perhaps the portion of the shlamim, chest area, the shoik area, which is given to the kohanim, that's not kachim, it's from a shlamim. And even women can have it. So maybe that's the topic of this pasuk. Says the Gemara, Eino b'chayzeres. It's not Shaveh B'zara Shel Aaron, because an Isha goes back home after having been married to Yisrael, left him without children, goes back home, she can go back to her father's Truma, but not to the Chazav Shaykh. So it's not something which is accessible to all, and that's not the topic of the pasuk. Truma Nami, Eino b'chalala. But Truma as well is sometimes restricted. It sometimes cannot be accessed by Zara Shel Aaron, Nechalala. Aisha's Kohen who got involved with a puzzle, she becomes a Chalala. She can't go back and have Truma. So it's not equally accessible to all. Well, you can't mention that. Chalala loves Zara de Aaron. Isha that becomes a Chalala, she's no longer really considered true Zera of Aaron. She doesn't really identify with Aaron, her grandfather, any longer. So that's not really a kasha. Truma is still considered accessible to all of Zarei Shel Aaron. Chalala loves Zarei de Aaron. So bottom line is, the pasuk which speaks about Truma tells us that a tumah may not have it. Now, how do you remove the tumah? Let's go back a second. We had a Bryce in Amud Aleph, almost at the towards the middle of the Amud. The Bryce tells us like this: a fellow who is really tummy prior to Tefillah, no Truma, but once he is Toivel, does that change? No. Tvul Yom also but Truma. He can't have Truma. He can have Maser Sheni, but not Truma. Until when? Until Herev Shemesh, until sundown. Maral learns that the day on which he experienced Tumah, that day is sort of affected and tainted. He has to wait for that day to pass by. Maral. So once that day is up, he had Tefillah, he had Herev Shemesh. 2 of 3 of the stages of Tahara, not yet a carbon, but Tefillah and Herev Shemesh, that is sufficient to allow him access to Truma. When it comes to Karbanos, you have to wait for the 3rd peg, the 3rd stage, which is carbon as well. You can't be a Mechusa Kippur. Right? How do we know this? How do we know that Truma is mutter once he had the Herev Shemesh, even before bringing his carbon? How do we know that a Mechusa Kippurim can have Truma? Umimai dahaya dasher yitar adi kaherev shemesh. This pasuk ish relating to Truma tells you, well, no Truma ad dasher yitar until he's tar. How do you know the definition of ad dasher yitar? Perhaps he has to go through the entire process. Tefillah, Herev Shemesh, and the 3rd point as well, bring his kapara. Ema perhaps will say Ademaisi Kapara. Only once he brings Kapara does he have access to Truma. Or not before. You can't say that. The Tan of Rabbi Shmuel, we have a Brisa taught in the Beis Medrash of Rabbi Shmuel, which pointed out as follows. This pasuk of ish ish, which alludes to a Metzora, a Zav. What type of individuals? How severe a tumah are we speaking about? Does he have to bring a carbon or not yet? No. Bezav al shterius, a Zav who only had a double experience, not yet 3, which requires a carbon. Ubi Metzora muskar, a Metzora who was locked away, not yet a full, complete, confirmed Metzora, he doesn't need a carbon. These 2 cases are the topic of conversation. That's the subject of this pasuk. How do we know? Because the pasuk makes mention of a tzarua, a zav, and also v'hanoigeh b'chol tmei nefesh, which alludes to tumas meis, so it's comparable. And we say mat tmei nefesh laba kaparu, just like the tmei nefesh is not a fellow who is required to be a kapara. Haninami, there is these as well. The metzora and the zav was speaking that they're not the point of kapara, the lavne kaparninu. So bottom line is, this pasuk is referring to a fellow who doesn't need to bring a carbon, either a tmei meis or a weak metzora, a weak zav. So clearly, there's no requirement of kapara. And when the pasuk speaks about becoming tar, it means without a carbon. That in itself opens the door to truma. So that proves our point. Kapara is not a prerequisite for achilas truma. What do you mean? Says the Gemara, "Eima hani mili the lav bar kapara." Sure, if he doesn't need to bring a carbon, then the carbon is not a prerequisite. Why would it be? He doesn't need to bring it. Avol de bar kapara. But suppose a fellow needs to bring a carbon. He's a zav that had 3 experiences. He's a full mitzvah. Perhaps ademaisi kapara. He needs to bring a carbon to be mater him with truma. That's a solid kash. Visu, another kash. Hadasnan. What about the following Mishnah, which presents 3 levels, 3 categories of tahara, which correspond to 3 types of achila. We have a tummy. Then he is taval va'ala. He went to the mikveh, comes up, not yet herav shemesh. He's already somewhat tahar, sufficient for maser sheni, eichel b'maser. He goes through the next stage, herav shimshoi, eichel b'truma. Heavy kapara, he brings his carbon the next day, eichel b'kachim, he's mutter and kachim. So 3 levels of tahara, tvila, herav shemesh, and kapara correspond to the 3 types of achiles. Tvila allows maser sheni. Herav shemesh allows teruma. Even if he still needs to bring a carbon, he doesn't need to bring it for achilas teruma. But for kachim, he needs his kapara. Minalan, how do you know this? Amarav Chizda, Telasa Kroy Ksivi. Very simple. It's based on 3 psukim, which correspond to these 3 levels of tahara, corresponding to 3 types of achila. One pasuk speaks about being rechetz besarei, being toivel, which allows him kachim. Ha rachatz tar. Clearly, once he is toivel, he is tar for something. This is the basic tahara, which allows his basic access. We'll assume it's maser sheni, which is the most lighter of all the kedushas. Then we have uksiv, a pasuk which refers to herav shemesh as a precondition for achila. Oba shemesh v'tar, and then va'acha yochel min hakachim. That's a higher level of tahara, required for something higher than that. Apparently, that's truma. Uksiv, the final pasuk, by the mother who gave birth. V'chipar aleh hakoyin v'tahira. Once she brings the carbon, that accomplishes tahara. So which point of this process accomplishes tahara? Tvila? Herav shemesh? Carbon? Okay, so how does this work? It depends for what. Kan lemaser, kan letruma, kan lekachim. Relative to maser sheni, tvila is sufficient. Relative to truma, herav shemesh does the job. Relative to kachim, the carbon, the kapara, accomplishes tahara. Ve'ifachano. How do you know? Perhaps let's switch things around. How do you know that Truma stands higher than Maser Sheni? Perhaps Tvila is enough for Truma, and for Maser Sheni you need more than that. You need Herav Shemesh. Mistavra, it is Mistavra that Truma Adifas, Truma stands higher because it has all kinds of elements which indicate that it is more chashav, more valuable. It stands higher than Maser Sheni. Sheken Machpaz. We mentioned this yesterday. Machpaz is a Rosh Tevis. It has Misa for a fellow who eats it betumah or azar. Chaimesh, ches is the chaimesh. When one eats truma b'shogig, he has to pay up the principal plus a fifth. Pay is pidyon. Truma never has pidyon, you can't transfer its kedusha, you can't redeem it. And zayin, it's also to azar, non-kohen, 4 elements which are not found by Maser Sheni. Apparently truma stands higher and requires more tahara to give access to truma. Adarabba, just the opposite, Maser Adifa, we find so many advantages by Maser Sheni not found by truma. Shekein hadas tav, a total of 5 features found in Maser Sheni. Rashi says, Hey is Hava, needs to be brought to Yerushalayim. Daled is Vidu, you have to acknowledge to Hashem, I did it properly. Samach is Asur Lo'inin, Oinin may not partake in Maser Sheni, but can have Truma, as we mentioned before. Tes is Tuma, which means that when the Maser Sheni becomes Tummy, you can't use it as fuel, as opposed to Truma, as we mentioned earlier. Beis is the Biur, you have to get rid of it at a certain point of time. These things are unique to Maser Sheni, unfound by Truma. So perhaps Maser Sheni would require more than Truma. Afilu is still Misa Adifa, the Misa factor. The Misa penalty brought about a person who eats the Truma in an unauthorized fashion. That is Adifa, that stands higher, superior, a factor which overrides everything. And certainly we established through that Truma stands higher and requires more Tahara. Tefillah is not enough, you need Herav Shemesh. Rava Amar B'loi Misa Adifa, without this added Misa factor, Nami Loi Matzah Samers, you can't suggest that what? That you would need more than just Tevilah to allow access to Maser Sheni. You know why? Amakra, the pasuk, the first pasuk that we mentioned. Let's just go back about 10 lines. It says, V'lo yoichel menan kochim, ki im rachatz besori b'mayim. So rechitza b'mayim, Tevilah allows access to kochim. The pasuk there begins with the word nefesh. Nefesh ashet higa boy v'tamadar, right? Says Rava. Listen to this Rashi. The word nefesh is indicating to us that we're speaking about what type of material to be eaten. Give me something which is equally accessible to all. Truma is only to a kohen, etc., etc. Maser Sheni is accessible to all. So apparently that's the topic of conversation. That's what the pasuk is alluding to. Maser Sheni requires merely rechitza b'mayim. Tefillah is enough. So that proves this point. Maser Sheni, Tevilah is enough. For Kachim, we need even the Kapara, the carbon. And for Truma, that's sort of in the middle. You need 2 out of 3, Tevilah and Herav Shemesh. Says the Gemara, but still, we haven't really addressed Truma properly. You haven't really proven your point. Why? Vakati still, Hane Mila, perhaps. When we say that Tevilah and Herav Shemesh is sufficient for accessing Truma, maybe that's only in a case where he doesn't need to bring a carbon. But suppose he needs to bring a carbon. He's a type of tummy who needs to complete his process with a carbon. Maybe in that case, he only gets access to Truma once he brings kapara. Meaning, how do you know? How do you even know that there are 3 levels? Your starting point is, well, there are 3 levels. There's Master, there's Truma, there's Kachim, 3 Psukim. I understand that there is one level called Tevilah, which allows access to Maser. You've proven that pretty clearly. V'nefesh, right? Rachatz b'sar, it's clear. On the other hand, we certainly have a pasuk, which seems to indicate that, which indicates clearly that you need kapara, you need carbon, in order to get access to something higher. It says v'chipar alei hakohen v'tahera, right? You need kaparas hakohen. You need to bring your carbon to complete the process. Gives you access to something really high. We assume that means kachim, karbanis. Right? You want to eat a carbon, you have to have a full kapara. All 3 things. Tevilah, Herav Shemesh, and bring your carbon. Maybe Truma occupies that realm as well. How do you know there are 3 levels? Maybe Truma also requires kapara when needed. So although we had an indication in the pasuk that Tevilah and Herav Shemesh is sufficient, maybe that's in the case where he doesn't need to bring a kapara. Amar Abaye, I'll prove it to you. Trei kroi ksivi b'yaledes. If you take a look at Parsha V'yaledes, a woman that gives birth, beginning of Parsha Tazria, we have 2 psuk. which seem to contradict each other. Ksiv, one pasuk says, Ad Malois Yimei Tahara. You see, an Isha gives birth. Initially, she has Yimei Tuma, she's tummy. Then she's Toivel. And she waits for a while. Perhaps even until, when it's in a keva, she has to wait until 80 days. The night prior to 80th is considered her Erev Shemesh. We treat it all like one big long day. The night prior to 80 is her Erev Shemesh. The following day she brings a kapara. Okay? Pasuk says, once days are up, once she reaches day 80, Ad Melois Yimei Tahara. Kivan Shemolu Yamel, we learn that once her days are up, Tahara, she becomes Tahar. She's labeled as Tahar, without bringing her carbon the following day. Just Tvila and Erev Shemesh. Uksiv, then the pasuk says, no, you need to bring your carbon to be considered Tahar. V'chipar le'akoin v'tahera. Which one is it? Okay, the only solution is, well, it depends for what. Kan truma, kan kachim. With respect to truma, Tvila and Erev Shemesh, Adi Malois Yimei Tahara, that's enough. Kan kachim. To access kachim, you need more than that. You need to complete your tahara process in its entirety. V'chipar aleh ha'koyen, and then v'tahira. So clearly, truma doesn't need more than tefillah and Erev Shemesh. And now we're speaking about an issue who has to bring a carbon. she needs to bring a carbon. And what does the pasuk say? Even prior to carbon, she can access truma. This is a solid raya. Now one more kasha, perhaps we'll switch it around. Sure, one pasuk says you need the keeper aleh hakoin. You need your carbon. One pasuk says you don't need it. But who's to say that this is truma, that's kachim? Maybe the other way around. Maybe for truma you need more than kachim. Malois Yimei Tahara gives her access to kachim, and v'chipar aleh hakoin gives her access to truma. Says the Gemara, you can't say that mistaver because it's probable that kodesh is chomer. Access to eating karbonis, that certainly stands higher. We find many features in karbonis which are not found in truma. Shekain pan ka'akas. A total of 6 advantages found in carbon as opposed to truma. So what are the 6 things? We actually have to turn back to yesterday where we mentioned those 6 things. Around 10 lines from the bottom. Pan ka'akas stands for pigel, noisar, carbon. Right? Carbon is called carbon. Me'ila. The Indian of me'ila only applies to carbonis. Kares. Right? If one eats a betuma, it's kares. V'ashal oinen. A carbon may not be eaten to an oinen. So these are 6 things unique to carbon, not found by truma. Says the Gemara Adarabah. The other way around, truma chamura shekain machpaz. We find 4 elements that are unique to truma, not found in carbon. Machpaz that we mentioned before, the misa, the chaymersh, the pidyon, the zar. Hanach nefishan, the 6 by carbon certainly override the 4 of truma. We assume carbon stands high. Rabbi Amar b'loi hanach nefishan namele matzas amris. Even without this numerical advantage, you can't suggest that what? That as soon as she's toivel and Erev Shemesh, even before bringing her carbon, she has access to carbon, to eating carbonates. You know why? Omakra, the pasuk says, pasuk right over here says, when she brings her carbon to the kohen, v'chipar aleh hakohen v'tahera. This completes her tahara process. Apparently, up until this point, she's still somewhat affected by. There's still some remnants of tum on her. Michlal she'itmeya. If that's the case, you can't even suggest that she's allowed access to eating carbonis. If you're going to tell me that she has access to kachim, that certainly doesn't make sense. Let's apply the pasuk which says, any basar kachim which touches chol tummy, says the Karen Oira, kol tummy, any remnant of tum, any slight tummy, even an isha before her carbonis, before she brings her carbonis, is considered somewhat affected by tuma. That's not allowed by acts. You can't access carbonis in that manner. You can't eat carbonis in that manner. Elashmami, no, apparently. It's clear from here, bitruma. The only thing she can have before bringing her carbonis, while in a state of mechusa kippurim, after having been Toivel and having had Rosh Hashanah, but still Mechusar Kippur, the only thing that can work is Truma. Oh, so this is a bona fide raya to what we're looking for. Who can access Truma? Even a Mechusar Kippur. You need Tefillah, you need Erev Shemesh, but at that point you have access to Truma. Kachim, wait until tomorrow. After you bring your carbon, you complete your Tahara, you can have Kachim. Mas Geflor of Shish, Breder Ravidi, have a Kash. Umi Matzas Amras, Truma Ksiba. How could you suggest that this pasuk, the beginning of Pashas Azriah, is teaching us halachas regarding Achilas Truma? We're speaking about people who can eat Truma. About Tanya. Listen to this price. Daber Bnei Yisrael. Tell Bnei Yisrael that they must observe the halachas of Tumas Leida. Ainli El Bnei Yisrael. Perhaps it's only a Bas Yisrael from home. What about a Giyoris? V'shivcha Mishchreres, a convert. An Isha who was a maidservant released. They give birth. Minayin, how do we know the halachas of Tumas Leida applies to them? Talmud Loimel, the pasuk says, Isha Kisasriya, including them. Now, V'isaka Daitach, B'truma. According to you, the pasuk here is teaching us halachas regarding eating Truma. They have no access to Truma. A Bas Yisrael can marry a Kain, fine, but Giyoris V'shivcha, they're not allowed to marry a Kain. B'noyis Meichal Truma Ninu, since when do they have access to Truma? Amar Rava, V'loi. Really, the pasuk here is not alluding to Truma at all. It clearly does allude to Truma v'ksiv v'chal kodesh le'siga. An Isha, after birth, should not touch kodesh, and the word b'chal kodesh, Rashi brings the Gemara in Makis, is referring to l'rabois ha-Truma. Clearly, the pasuk here is teaching us halachas regarding Truma. Else, you have to say, kram mil kachashiv. The pasuk is teaching us many things. First part about the basic halachas of Tumas Leida, applicable to any type of Isha, whether Bas Yisrael, Geras, or Shivcha, and then the pasuk moves on to speak about other halachas regarding Truma, which is only applicable to a Kayin or Bas Yisrael, and not to Geras and Mishacheres. Therefore, our interpretation of Psukim certainly hold. One more kasha. We seem to have 3 Psukim regarding Truma. The first pasuk was Ish, right? Back on 9 Daled on the bottom, which proved to us that a tummy should not have Truma. Then we moved on to that Mishnah that gave us the 3 categories, the middle of which was, if you went through 2 out of the 3 stages of Tahara, Tefillah and Erev Shemesh, you can have Truma. So there's another pasuk telling you that a tummy may not have Truma. And then finally the pasuk by the Yeledes, which taught us the same thing, that you need Tefillah and Erev Shemesh to access Truma. Utlasa kroy betruma lamali. Why would you need 3 psukim to disallow 8 tamei from eating truma? Tzrichi, all 3 are needed. Imi adash hayitar. If only that first pasuk of ish, which says, well, look, you can only have truma when you're tar. What does tar mean? Lo yavi yadana b'may. I wouldn't know how to become tar. Maybe I need tefillah and erev shemesh and karbanos. That's why we need the second pasuk. Because the pasuk says, Uba Shemesh v'tor. As long as you have Tefillah and Erev Shemesh, that's enough. Because of Rachmana Uba Shemesh. If only that pasuk, Havamina, I would say, Hanimili, the Labar Kapar. That's only because we're speaking about a person who doesn't have to bring a carbon to complete his process. So then it's enough. With Tefillah and Erev Shemesh. Aval the Bar Kapar. But suppose a fellow needs to bring a carbon. He's a full mitzvah, a full zav. Maybe in that case, he has to wait it out. He has to wait until he brings the kapar to allow him access to truma. That's why we need the 3rd pasuk by Yeledes, who needs to bring a carbon. And still, what does the pasuk say? Because Rachmana ad malois. As long as the days are up, that's enough. You don't need to bring a kapara to allow you access to truma. Because Rachmana ad malois. If only that pasuk. Havamina, I would say, well, afilu b'lei tefillah. Maybe you don't even need tefillah. As long as the 80 days are up, that's enough. That's why we need the other pasuk, because Rachmana Adash Yitar, tell you have to go through the process, you have to go through the tefillah. So bottom line is, you need tefillah and Erev Shemesh, and then you have access to Truma. Okay, so what do we have? We were looking for a makar of whether or not an Aral can have Maser Sheni. Rukiva says certainly not, because an Aral and a Tamei are synonymous, just as he can't have Pesach, he can't have Truma, he can't have Maser Sheni. Rabbi Yitzchak learned through Exer Shava, Mimenu, one by Pesach, one by Maser. Exer Shava, which was totally available on all sides. leaving no room for challenges. And we concluded that a Tameh may not access Maser, Truma, or Kachim. However, we have three levels of Tahara. Tvila allows him access to Maser. Sheni, Herev, Shemesh, accesses Truma. Kapara, when he needs a Kapara, that is a pre-condition required for accessing Karbanos. And we concluded with the three psukim discussing the Isra Achilas Truma by a Tameh, and explained why all three psukim are necessary and needed. All the best to you, and Hatzlacha Rabbah.